I know, I had his lunch too. Good afternoon. Okay, let's try it again. Good afternoon. All right, I'm Tim Richardson. I'm with the National Recreation Foundation, Director of Partnerships. We're proud partners of the Children in Nature Network, and it's my pleasure to be your MC for this afternoon. But before we do this, we've been giving away some amazing things, but only to the people in the first 2 or 3 tables. So if you're in the far-flung table, please come forward, because the gold coins won't reach that far back. So come on up, come, please. All right. Okay, so and to our friends who are online, thank you for tuning in. We are going to have a heck of a great afternoon session. The focus is around centering equity and inclusion to meet youth and families where they are. And just 30 seconds worth of background. I retired out as the vice president of Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and something I learned like the first day on the job was that some areas were wildly popular, same building, wildly popular. Those were always my areas, by the way. And then there were some areas you could shoot a cannon through and no one would show up there. And one of my mentors explained to me, he says, kids vote with their feet. Kids vote with their feet. So I would have all of us think about, you may be doing all kinds of things right, but there may be a little something in the sauce that they aren't either maybe feeling welcome or they don't know about you or whatever. What can we do to have them say, I can't wait to get down to the XYZ Nature Center. I can't wait to. That's one of the things we're going to explore today with our experts. And the first person that we're going to call forward is Alexis Murillo, all right, from Campfire, Minnesota. And she is going to give us some emerging practices advancing equity, inclusion, and cultural responsiveness in environmental education programs. Now, Alexis, don't move, because this audience, they've been at lunch and they're tired from the morning, but they don't know what you're about to put down. All right, so we're going to have them give you the kind of love they would give a sister who's come all the way from Minnesota as you approach the stage. My friends, I welcome Alexis. Please come forward. There it is. Oh, some standing O's.
Hello, everyone. Awesome. All right. In the United States today, the color of one's skin or the size of their bank account are some of the predicting factors of whether one has safe access to the outdoors. With that said, and as we've heard here today in the morning panel, Black, Indigenous, and other communities of color are more likely to be deprived of nature and all of the wonderful benefits that it provides. As we work to center equity, justice, and cultural responsiveness in environmental education, it is critical that we first acknowledge the impacts of environmental racism, and that we work towards centering a youth development model that focuses on equity, justice, and inclusion to correct for the inequitable distribution of nature in America. Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis. My pronouns are she, Aya, and I am the Education and Digital Programs Manager at Campfire, Minnesota, a nonprofit dedicated to helping all young people find their spark in nature. At our organization, we encourage all young people to dream big and to think about the positive impacts that they can leave on our world. For many people who interact with our programs, some are very familiar with all of the great things that the outdoors have to offer. And other students, it may be their first time ever hiking a trail, learning about different animals, or leaving their city apartment. And so today, I want to share with you all some emerging practices that we have tried and seem to have found great success in within our organization. I do want to provide the disclaimer that this is not a one-size-fits-all. that this is what has worked for us. And so if you are at the beginning of your equity work or trying to transform your organization and figuring out how to get others on board, then this is the session for you, and I thank you for being here today. All right. It is no secret that now, more than ever, no age group needs the outdoors more than our young people. Studies consistently find that children who spend time outdoors in natural environments experience improved health and cognitive functions, strong motor coordination, reduced stress, and enhanced social skills. Students who spend more time in the outdoors, especially those from low-income communities, are more enthusiastic about school, tend to have fewer attendance problems, and also are more prone to performing better on standardized tests. According to a study published by the Public Library of Science, researchers found that simply having more tree cover in a neighborhood was found to be a significant positive predictor of student performance, according to the 13% of student variance. At Campfire Minnesota, it became very clear to us that we needed to provide more equitable curriculum and access. We underwent and continue to go through different ideas with trial and error. And for the methods that were successful, those are the ones that I want to share with you all because of the incredible impacts that they have left on our young people. So let's start with the groundwork, educating self and organization. At the beginning of this year, Campfire National Headquarters partnered with local councils across the United States to conduct a local cultural appropriation audit. The goal of the audits was to collectively put an end to Native American cultural appropriation within the organization and take responsibility for the harm caused at each individual level. The audit only further proved that quality programming that welcomes and supports all young people and builds long-lasting partnerships cannot be designed without first assessing the role you play in the context of the inequities in nature and environmental education. For example, at Campfire Minnesota, we all experience the outdoors differently. Some of us are people of color, others are part of the LGBTQIA2S+ community, and many of us are neurodiverse. And so we had to think about the way that white supremacy impacts the work that we do, the impact that it leaves on our young people, and discussing how each of us show up in a different headspace whenever we leave that front door of our home. And in order to lay the groundwork to then produce enhanced programs, we decided that it's going to start within. And so for us, it was important to not only take our individual accountability for harm that we may have caused within the organization or outside of it in our personal lives, but guided by our goal to create welcoming spaces for all young people. As of yesterday, Campfire Minnesota announced that we have changed the name of our camp, which was previously known as Tanaduna. Throughout our 100-year history, Campfire Minnesota made various changes to end culturally appropriative practices, but did not take the important step to acknowledge the changes and the harm of the practices caused. Nor did the organization take the necessary steps in other areas to address that cultural appropriation. Over the years, community members and staff had inquired about the origin of the name Tanaduna, which was understood to be a made-up word mimicking Native American languages. And so earlier this year, it was confirmed by the cultural appropriation audit that this was true when the organization obtained a copy of the Campfire Book of Names, published in 1915. This practice is culturally appropriative and harmful, so we ended the word Tanaduna and officially changed our site to only reflect our organizational name, Campfire Minnesota. As an organization, we knew that this was just one step and that there was so much more work to do. But with lifelong work comes a desire to actively create welcoming and accessible nature experiences for everyone. So in our organization, we have split our diversity, equity, and inclusion work into 5 different areas. And this is a very tangible way to get started in this equity practice. Our areas are financial access, racial diversity, gender and sexuality, ability, mental health and neurodiversity, and cultural appropriation. All current full and part-time staff participate in at least one of these committees, and together we all meet in our respective areas to develop short and long-term goals to enhance the ways that we operate as an organization. We also commit to an action plan that identifies both personal and professional goals that we want to accomplish to deepen our understanding in these areas. Our supervisors, along with the external DE&I consultant that we hired, holds us accountable to this work and also provides us with additional learning opportunities, reading materials, and group conversations to help us further along our individual journeys so together our organization can support young people in the way that they need it the most. At our organization, we see ongoing learning as a critical way to advance this work and to make environmental and nature-based programs more culturally responsive is not a quick fix. It's ongoing, critical, lifelong work. And we make it very clear to current and prospective employees that we embark on this work with the understanding that it is long-term and that it is authentic to us as an organization and woven into the fabric of everything that we do. An important way that I like to remember this part of our work is that the impact will always be greater than the intention. Can you all say that with me? Impact will always be greater than the intention. One more time, the impact will always be greater than the intention. We always hear, oh, well, that's not what I meant to say, that's not what I meant to do. No one cares about what you meant to say or what you meant to do. What people care about is the impact that it left on them, and most importantly, for our young people. That may be their first and only time engaging with your nature-based, environmental-based programming, and they may be worried or afraid to do that again within your organization or within another space because of that one terrible experience they might have had. And so it's so important that when you show up authentically in a way that you do not speak outside of what you do not know, because you do not realize the impact that that is going to have on a young person. Then we have to move on to another important piece of this work, student voice and honest pedagogy. This is Greta. Greta was adopted by Campfire Minnesota in August 2020. And over the past few years, Greta has met thousands of students, both in person and virtually, and helps to teach about animal adaptations in Minnesota native species. When we first adopted Greta, we developed a list of names of well-known environmental and nature activists who all came from different backgrounds and held varying identities. We wanted to be intentional about how Greta supported our programs beyond being a native Minnesota turtle species. So students voted for one name based on the created list. And we did this because student choice and voice is incredibly important in our programs. And so Greta was named by hundreds of students who experienced our programs both on and off-site. And Greta, named after Greta Thunberg, the young environmental activist who is known for challenging world leaders to take immediate action for climate change mitigation, has allowed students to share their experiences and encourage other young people to take action for a cleaner, cooler, and happier world. Greta, our wonderful turtle, is a concrete example of how adopting a responsive curriculum is about connecting it to students' lived experiences and backgrounds. We have many young people who visit Campfire Minnesota, and Greta is a small yet powerful way for students to see themselves having a space in nature as a young person and having the power to advocate for change. This is what we call honest pedagogy, a practice that incorporates all student voices, experiences, ages, and backgrounds into our content and curriculum. And there is no threshold or exact science that can tell you the appropriate proportion of representation in curriculum compared to the number of students in your program. But that's why it's fundamental that we collectively become lifelong educators who continuously stay up to date in this work. So we have those critical thinking skills to say, wow, these are the majority of students in our programs. What are they learning? What are we teaching them, and what are they walking away with? Over the course of students' experiences with nature and teaching them in the outdoors, students need to engage with multiple pieces of information, text, books, videos that are about other communities that they may not otherwise know, or written or created by other folks with different identities that they may not be the majority within your programs. You can also design methods and curriculums to intentionally counteract the social oppression students may have encountered and reframe those experiences by recognizing their accomplishments. For example, lessons can focus on the achievements of different marginalized communities and those that they have made throughout history, and focusing on the enormous obstacles that they've overcome. And by focusing on the strengths, we inherently change the narrative. Some of the questions that you can consider when leading this part of the work are, why does my organization have the curriculum that we do? Why do we lead information this way? What was the decision-making process that led us to operating in the current way that we do? The second question that you can ask yourself are, what current structural challenges, maybe policies, unspoken rules, leaders in power, that are making it difficult to achieve more responsive curriculum? Third question, what experience has our organization and its members had with culturally responsive education, anti-racist training, and equity-based learning? And the final question, who in our networks or communities are already doing this work, and how can we work together? As my supervisor always said, many hands make light work, and this applies in our equity work as well. Because together you can learn and experience at different parts of your journey with your coworkers and with your students. Because as we know, young people hold so much powerful information that will teach us more than any textbook ever could. Then we can transition into the equity of your programs. After speaking with our partners at Campfire Minnesota, we see that two of the most significant factors preventing schools, students, families, and community members from engaging with our programs are transportation and cost barriers. And so to address these barriers, we've decided to figure out, well, how can we meet those folks halfway, or maybe beyond halfway? So we offer ample scholarships, have a transportation fund, travel to parks and schools throughout Minnesota, and offer virtual field trips. One of the ways that we're able to do this work is by setting up the fee structure for our environmental education field trip programs on a sliding scale, according to the free and reduced lunch rate of the school that we're working with. So for example, schools with 60% or greater students who are enrolled in the free reduced lunch program experience all of our programs at no cost. In addition to that, if the school maybe says, okay, we can pay for the students to attend, but we cannot pay for a bus, then we are able to reimburse them for transportation costs. On some of our other programs, like our after-school, out-of-school time programs, we can even take some of our vans and travel to the school to pick those students up and bring them to our site, which is located about 20 miles outside of the Twin Cities. And so we never want to go to an organization, to a school, to a parent and say, we have to turn you away because you don't have the finances, you don't have the transportation. And so for the programs that we are able to run, we can say, hey, you can still come, you have a place here. and here's how we're going to help you get here. And that's one of the greatest things that I love about the work that I'm able to do. I always share with other organizations is that budgets speak louder than their mission statements. I'll say that again, budgets speak louder than mission statements. You have to put your money where your mouth is. We have seen remarkable success with our efforts in financial equity and have never turned a school away due to a financial barrier. And this has allowed us to work with numerous students from Title I schools and launch our first nature immersion school partnership with a public high school located in Northeast Minneapolis called Exploration High School. In this partnership, we travel to their high school once a month to deliver on-site nature-based and environmental educational programs, and then they come to our site 3 times a year to experience all the full-day field trips and 1 overnight experience, which is actually happening right now. I'm kind of bummed I can't be there, but really excited for my team who gets to kick that off and have them throughout the evening. Many of the students in this high school and many of the other schools that we work with have never experienced programs like the ones that we offer. Sometimes we get students who come out and they go, "Am I going to see a bear? Will I be able to, what happens if I get eaten by a coyote?" And we just smile and we explain to them, well, 1, you're safe, and 2, maybe they're a little more afraid of us than we are of them. And it always brings a smile to my face whenever I see a student who maybe was like me when I was younger and didn't have their first camping experience until they were 20 years old, or who didn't know what it was to go hiking in the woods and what type of boots you needed and what gear. Those are the experiences that make me the happiest and continuously, day in and day out, dedicated to this work. In our partnerships with schools that serve student populations with underrepresented and under-included communities, we use a progression model to introduce our nature and camp experiences. As you can see, we start with an after-school program that takes place at their school, and then we invite them to attend school break programs, such as President's Day or Spring Break Camp. And as they become more engaged in our programs, we invite students to partner overnights, one of which I mentioned a few minutes ago is happening today. And there they get to stay the night on our site in a cabin or in a tent. And once the academic year is over, we invite them to participate in our summer camp, whether that's just a day camp, an overnight camp. And again, all these experiences are offered to those partners at no cost to the school or to the students. And that's the aim that we have when working with our young people. We hope that these young people are exposed to environmental education and nature experiences at the elementary school level, and then they will progressively feel more confident in exploring the outdoors and want to share those experiences with others. So once they participate in the after-school program, the school break camps, the partner overnights, summer camp, they can transition to a junior counselor role once they turn 17. In the junior counselor role, students jump right into employment by working at day camp. Junior counselors are paid bi-weekly and spend the summer growing as a leader, attending our staff training and receiving additional mentorship opportunities from leadership staff throughout the summer. And like all counselors, they have the opportunity to get first aid certified, take additional program training, plan activities, and lead groups. And this opportunity allows them to improve their communication, critical thinking, leadership, collaboration, and creativity. And these are just some of the many ways that equity should be addressed in programs. And I'm not here to say Campfire Minnesota has it all figured out, but this is the start to our work in our journey, and we've seen success in it. Take Lalo, for example. Lalo is a hard-working young man about to embark on his teaching career. He began coming to our summer camp program at the age of 13. He participated in our leadership development program and went on to become a counselor, growing himself as a leader and a future teacher and soccer coach. I want to take a moment here to hear directly from Lalo, but for the purpose of sharing Lalo's story, I do want to provide the disclaimer that he does use our previous camp name, Tanaduna, in this video. The video was filmed about a year ago, prior to the camp name change, and so going forward as an organization, we will no longer be using materials that use that word, but I thought this would be a powerful way to share Lalo's story. There should be some
I'm Lalo Edmondson, but at camp they call me Rio. I'm entering my 4th year at Concordia University, St. Paul, and finishing up my pursuit of becoming a high school teacher as well as a soccer coach. As I'm diving into more of my teaching classes, I reflect my time back at Tanaduna with how I interacted with kids, how I got the best out of them, how I connected with them, and I use my experiences actually in all my papers, and the teachers love it. Yo, can I join? Sweet. I love coming back to Tanaduna just because it reminds me about my childhood. The welcoming atmosphere at camp is different than any other summer camp programs that I've been involved in. No one knew where I came from or who I was. It was just a clean slate that allowed me to be more authentic and to be more unique and to be myself.
Attack!
I knew I wanted to be a counselor one day, but I knew that there was a process. Well, through all those different trainings, I learned how to become a better leader. It also taught me that even though that there are rules and boundaries, you can still have fun.
I'm Hannah Gilbert. I'm the Outdoor Programs Manager at Campfire, Minnesota. Staff training and the leadership development program, I think, are a really key part of my role because we want staff and any teens that are coming to help us out to be ready and prepared for a lot of responsibility. Our campers come from all different backgrounds and all different experiences, and so what we aim to do is create an environment where they feel safe and welcome always. Part of a safe and welcome environment is being that warm person that they see every morning, and then part of it too is giving them a space to stretch themselves outside of their comfort zone as well, with a group of people that's ready to cheer them on and help them do that.
If my mom hadn't sent me to Camp Tanaduna, I honestly wouldn't know where I'd be or who I'd be. He just really pushed me to become the person that I am today, to follow through my profession that I want to be, of teaching high school, to be a soccer coach, to travel the world, to appreciate nature more, and to work hard for whatever goal you set.
Go.
Everyone's included here at Camp Tanaduna. Our biggest mission is to have kids not only just enjoy nature, but also have fun, be safe and included, because that's what it comes to down at the end of the day.
And now Lalo is actually one of our board members and helps us make those critical decisions as we work to center former and current camp voices. And so I will leave you with this. No matter where you decide to begin your organizational equity work, just remember to ask yourself, does this decision align with the environment that we are trying to create for our young people? Thank you.